So tonight I wanted to bring to you a little something different. I was at Tuesday morning and I was going down the paper pad aisle and I seen this Lazy Scrapbookers by Recollection, and I was going to purchase this for my daughter. She likes to take pictures. She doesn't like to scrapbook, and these are ready-made pages already. There's 24 designs in it, so you get two of the same design. And as I was going through the paper pad, I was thinking to myself, my wheels started turning. Wow, these are like go-to designs that I could copy. I'm not a fan of the Lazy Scrapbooker because I like to add my own buttons and my texture to it, and it's kind of flat. For my daughter, that's good. But for me, I think I'm going to take one of the sheets each and make myself a 12 by 12 binder, and then I'm going to use these for inspiration. And I thought I'd do a quick flip through and share with you my thoughts on each page. So this was $6.99, like I said, Tuesday morning. And it's a little nicer than some of the ready-made pages that I have seen in the past. So here's the first one, and a lot of these are one picture pages, but that's okay because I can, I can see through that go-to design and add to it. And I'll go through with some of my ideas, just kind of off the top of my head. Like these are the wooden enamel buttons that we all have. They're flat on the page because it's just, the graphic of them. But you have your embellishment here and embellishment here. So that's really easy. That takes you no time to put that together. What I started thinking was you could stamp going across, and then you could add the photos going across more at a diagonal. And you could get two photos in there. You could change it. So this here would be your design. You could have your title up here, have a band going across, and then you could have your stamping up here if you wanted. Let me see, make sure I get this back in frame. Okay, but see how this is for the Lazy Scrapbooker, and then you just put your picture there, and then it's done, and then you can journal. But like I said, I'm using this for my go-to design. This, so it's a text background, which I love. And look, they took gray ink and different tones of green, and they stamped on it. Great idea. They layered this underneath the photos. They used paper clips, which I have in my stash and I never pull out. So this is a representation that, hey, I could pull out, my clips and put them there. I could move this over and then have two more pictures, or I could have three more pictures going across the page. But it gives you, once again, that the clustering, you got some inking going on here as well. This one is the watercolor. I'm going to say this is the smooshing technique. You have a border around it. You have your smooshing. This could be vellum paper, or it could just be some ephemera. You have your big title. And then this one is, it even has like this little banner of florals on top of there. You could fussy cut something off of a piece of paper for that. Use journaling strips, which I always forget. You could make this a 5x7 instead of a 4x6, which is cool. This one you can turn either way. You can have it horizontal. You could take your watercolors and make them go vertical. I like this little banner of stars as a shelf if you did make them go vertical, and then you put your little banner of, you could do stamping, or you could use embossing. What is that stuff called? Embossing powder, heat gun. You can have photos going across. I mean, you could do a grid off of this. The options are endless. This is one of my favorites because they used a diagonal paper with a diagonal design. So you have a lot of stuff going on. You have string, you have a doily, which I have that Martha Punch doily maker. I could use that. You have stamping, you have inking, you have some stuff dripping down, white acrylic paint. You have a little doily here. That looks like a flare you could use. And again, you could flip this. You could have your photo here and you have it there. You know, you could do it this way. Any way is awesome on that one. Let me get that back in frame. Okay. This one, you could use leftover letter stickers. That, you know, those packs where you're out of the vowels, you could put the thickers on there, but you would have to build up your photo. You could have little journaling in here if you wanted to instead of the ephemera. I love that they do the stitching. You know, that's not a lot of stitching. They did a few lines. It wouldn't take long to do that, especially hand stitching, because pulling out that big sewing machine, that's a pain. But I like how they did the awesome, and they did the, it's kind of grunge look where you have the shadow effect, and they did that with the date as well. This one you could cut out with your Cricut, and you could use foam. Foam to bring up the shadow on it. You could do a shadow box here. Shaker box. There, you have your two photos, and you could do, again, embossing powder for the ephemera if you wanted to. Once again, you have just a few little stitches going down the side just to add that texture to it. I thought that was cool. I like this one, the smaller one going across with the big title. This is done in the glitter. I probably would do that more with a big thicker. You use your word stickers that you have, some tags. You could do a diagonal polka dot going up a little more, so it's a little more exaggerated, and then fold down your corner. That would be cool on this one. Paper ripping. I always forget to do the paper ripping. I like the look of it. You could put your foam stickers to add dimension underneath both layers. You could take your paper clip, even though it would be a clothesline clip, and break half of it off so it's not so thick, and then glue that onto your page so it's half the size, and you have your string going across like the string is holding onto the picture and the ephemera. And instead of smushing, they just did ink drops, which is cool. Once again, they did the paper tearing. The flowers are muted, so you could do that with a watercolor. You could do that stamping, acetate. You could use a stencil. So different ideas. And I like the gold drops here as well. Then here, this is cherished. You know, I might try with some watercolors and do a swoosh maybe across, and then house my title on that. I might try that on a page. Photo corners, I have them, don't use them. So that will give me that representation again to go to my drawer and pull those out. So this one's fun, whimsical. People that have the fringe scissors, they could, instead of doing the whole page, they could do a small portion of it, or they could do it at the bottom, going the other way. So that could be like a shelf. You could have this pull-out tag. It could have pictures on it and journaling if you make it interactive. That would be cool. And then more stitching and a little watercolor. This one is kind of like a band design. So it's taking the picture and the ephemera and making it a band design, which would be cool. I think I would rather have the same size photos, or maybe another one for it to be a little more symmetrical. That's me personally. Some people like it. I need to zhuzh that up a little bit. This one, I love file tabs. I have the We Are Memory Keeper tab maker. So, you could bring those together, bring them over. You could make it a 5x7, make it a 2-page, bring those over here, bring a 5x7. And then I have a pocket page next to it for a 2-page layout spread. I think that would work out pretty good too. Let's see. This one's stuck. This is fun. Love You. If you're good at cutting out letters, this would work out really well. And they stitched the letters, just the V and the E. It doesn't look like they did the L for some reason. And then you have your two photos there. I like how they did Love You, and then they do To the Moon on the side. I'm a fan of that. But yeah, A lot of good stuff here. If you have a Cricut or a Silhouette, you can cut them out there as well. I do like this one a lot. So this easily could be a 2-page and a great for 6x6 paper pads. You have your 3 photos, and you could duplicate this page next to it. Or what you could do is you could do your big photo, your big feature photo, make one of these journaling, and then, you know, do this page as your second page with your 3 sub pictures on it. You can add to this. You could add twine to it. You could add enameled dots, like they have a star here. You know, you could dress up those hexagons a little more so around them. All kinds of different options you have there. So this is a grid. Once again, you could take your 6x6 paper pads and you could wallpaper a white piece of paper and do different designs for the background so it looks like quilting. Or you could just take your scraps and cut your, I'm not sure what size this is. Let's see. I'll measure it real quick. So that's like a 10.5. So you could cut a 10.5 piece out, and then you could take your scraps and or branding strips and glue them like on a diagonal, and that would make like a patchwork background. And then you could put your 10.5 on there. You could stitch, you know. This one, again, this is another one where you could really move it around, and any way it would look good. But another option, you know, there are so many things you can do with the grid. Let me get that straight. You could do a 3x6 here, and then you could do your 3x3 and then your title. Once again, you could have that feature page and have this as the second page, make these wonky if you wanted to. Just so many options there. This one, when I seen it, I thought acetate right away. So what I could do is I could watercolor a white background and then take some acetate that I'm trying to use, my 12x12s, and I can put it over the watercolor, and then that watercolor will show through. I thought that was a great idea. Great way to use it. So that is definitely on my list. You could, if you don't have the acetate, you could watercolor it, let it dry, and then ink it with tone-on-tone ink with some words. What's some other ideas you could do with that? None are coming to my mind. But, oh, you could stencil it, you know, do the watercolor and then stencil it with the same tone. And you could use embossing powder on that as well. This one, at first, I did not notice that this was the title. My eye went right to the 3 photos at the bottom. But I thought this was kind of cool, where the majority is the title. This is a lot going on for me. I wouldn't make it so loud. But this would be great for everyday photos. But it's the photos that you take, and it's no special events, but you wanted to scrapbook them. I think this is an awesome page for 3 of those photos, or if they weren't, if they're blurry or something, you could put those down there and then have the big title. So I definitely will try that page. This one is fun as well. This one's more focused on the photo. You got your page ripping. I would probably rip the end here, or if I was using notebook paper, I would use the notebook punch and make a notebook border. I like that you have a little bow up here with some buttons. I would probably do my little bit of journaling down here and then just let that photo shine. So I wouldn't do a lot with that. And usually I have a hard time doing the simple pages. I just keep adding stuff and adding stuff. So this is a representation for me to not add as much. So this one, the background's a little dark and you have your circles. So I would do it on a lighter background. But I like how they did the string. Look at how they did the curly cues, and they did a little banner. You have your circles. I may make the circle a little bigger, so it takes a little bit more of the page, and then you just have your photo there. I thought that's kind of cool. And then you could mimic that if you did a circle here and here, you know, so that's a band. It's just a band of circles. So you could carry that to your second page if you wanted to get those more photos on there. This one, So they took 2 pieces of paper, cut it in half. Once again, this would be a 2-pager for me. I think what I would do is I would have this located on this page with the arrows pointing this way, and then on the second page I would have the arrows pointing that way, and I would move this embellishment over onto the other page. But I like all this up here. You can have your title here and then, or down here, and then carry that over onto the second page. This one, I like the way it is, you know, it centers this one photo. I think that I would probably have to move this over here, have the graphic on this side, and then I would have to make this a 2-page. To me, it's a little bland, but I think in a 2-page, I could make it look really cool. I could rock that. Another grid. So these are, again, great for 6x6 paper pads. Great for 2-pagers if you wanted to mimic that on the other side and add more paper. You have 3 patterns that repeat themselves, and you could do more to these. You could, once again, you could put puffy stickers. You could use ephemera with some foam to bring it up, and you could do a little cluster here. You could add string to it. You could stitch around it. So you could punch a hole in it and then back it with something with a little heart. I've seen that before. So, I mean, just a lot of things that could be done just to dress it up a little more and add more texture. This one, once again, this is another one that I would need to dress up, and on its own, yeah. But what I got from it was I would do the crooked bands going up and down. I would add stitching on each side, and this is basically, the photo is clustered all in the middle. It's okay, you know, maybe use my frames, but I think the other ones had more inspiration, I should say. This one is great again. I like the small. I don't do this ever, so I am definitely going to try it. But I like the fact that you have the small here. You could put your journaling down here. And again, you know, you could do, say you have 6 of these 2x2 photos. You know, you could put them side by side, and you could use them this way. And then have your title going across like that. Let me make sure. There we go. This one, big title, you know, photo. This one, what did I take away from this? A little ripping on the bottom. I liked how they did the faux stitching around the happy, and the birthday is up on top of that. That's kind of cool how they did that. This is a pocket page, I'm assuming. So you got 3 photos. You have a place for journaling. 2 spot, and a lot of place for journaling. So this could be, you could use this to inspire you to use a pocket page on that second page, or you could do something like this for your 1 page only. You could white paper or wallpaper a piece of white paper and use this, and that would be your layout. You could put your title down here in the middle, and maybe not so much journaling. And that would look cool as well. And then that takes us back to the beginning, which I will be giving these pages to my daughter so she'll be able to put her photos in. And I'm going to put this in a 12x12, probably a old Creative Memories postbound, to just look through when I'm stuck and I need some inspiration. And then I'm going to use this as my go-to design book. I hope you enjoyed my video and took some inspiration from it. I'd like to thank you for subscribing, leaving notes or commenting, or just liking my videos. It's greatly appreciated, and I hope you have a great evening. Bye-bye.